Let's watch how the Chiefs use a cover zero blitz to stop the RPO on the goal line. Let's film study. City Buffalo, it is goal to go for Buffalo at the 4-yard line. All right, we've got 11 personnel. I got a back right here, and I've got a tight end right here. So that's 11 personnel. And then the formation from a defensive perspective is cut 1 here, and then cluster 3 here, okay, or 3 clusters. So this would be cut 13 cluster, cut 13 cluster. What we're going to get here is it's a zone read RPO. All right, and what we're looking at here is Josh Allen is actually trying to read this end first. Okay, so we're going to look at it from the other angle. But I want you to see what Josh Allen's pass option is on this. And we're going to be looking at Kincaid here, who's going to basically run what amounts to a bubble screen. Right? Bubble screen means he's just going to arc sort of this way. These two guys will block for him. And what Josh Allen is looking for is numbers. Okay, so the first thing he's looking at to see if he's going to hand the ball or throw it is this defensive end. All right. If this defensive end stays wide, right, then he's going to hand the ball knowing that he's got numbers inside against the run. If the defensive end crashes or plays tight to the tackle, then he's going to try to throw it to Kincaid. All right. But I want you to watch what happens with the Kansas City defense. They're actually in a zeroed out blitz here. All right. And they end up they're playing man across the board. So we end up with 3 out here to play the 3 on the RPO on the pass option. Right, we got these 2 blockers to block these 2 defenders, but we got this safety who he probably thought was going to be a free safety. In other words, the deep free player, but instead he's actually playing Kincaid man to man, and so now he has to pull the ball down and run. Now, if we look from the other angle, so right now we can see Josh Allen is looking. All right, his first read, like I said, his first read is that defensive end. All right, he sees the end is staying tight, so he's going to pull the ball. If the defensive end was staying wide here, he would hand this ball, and they would have a nice gap in the B gap here. Okay, they would have a good crease. But instead, what's happening is 51 is actually fighting to get to the inside of Dawkins here. He's going to end up in that B gap. All right, so he doesn't want to hand the ball off in that situation. He's going to pull it and throw it to Kincaid. All right, but once he sees that Kincaid is actually covered, right? Once he sees that he doesn't actually have numbers that he thinks he has, he's going to tuck it and run and just see what he can get. All right. So he doesn't have the numbers. He tucks it and run. Of course, he doesn't get it. All right. Now, one thing I do want to point out on this, which is pretty funny. Watch Bolton here. So Bolton's going to blitz this B gap, or excuse me, this A gap here. All right. He's blitzing that A gap weak. And I want you to see what a good job he does. Now, a lot of linebackers, when they blitz, they just try to take the gap. And the reason that's dangerous is you can get washed, okay? So if he were to just take this gap and sort of like try to rip through it and get skinny and get his body in that A gap, the center would likely just wash him to the right, and they could have a gap inside of the center, okay? But instead, what he does is he uses his hands. So just because you're blitzing does not mean that you have to give up your use of hands. In fact, this is a really good way to run blitz. All right, he's already mugged up in there. He gets his hands on first, and because he's going forward, he just drives the center back and knocks him right over. Timber. All right, but the center grabs him by the back and pulls him down too. And you can see Bolton gets up, and he's pretty hot about that. He's like, come on, man. He just pulled me down. All right, but let's look at this fit over here on this side. So the D end stays tight, so Allen pulls the ball, all right? Then he goes to throw it and sees that, we've got 3-on-3 out there. I can't do it. And now we've got a blitzer coming off the edge here, right? Shamari Connor, he's coming in. Okay, now the way that's supposed to play out is this. If he were to hand this ball, all right, the end will be in this B gap, no problem. If they wind it all the way back off the edge of the tackle, then we've got Justin Reed there to play that, right? Connor is really there to be the quarterback player, right? So if this is an option or a read option for the quarterback, okay, now Connor's there to take that away also. So they really got everything covered on this. This is a really smart defense, or at least they dialed up the right thing on this particular play. But you can see he just has nowhere to go with the ball. He has to eat it, takes a big hit, and we're off the field. There you go. So once again, Steve Spagnuolo dials up the right play at the right time. Until next time.